Welcome to the Rising in Real Time podcast. Rising in Real Time is a living conversation among three women who are not only talking about healing, but embodying it.
Each episode is a snapshot of our collective becoming, the tender, the raw, and the radiant. Together, we rise through stories of ancestral remembrance, sacred ritual, and embodied freedom.
This isn't a show about being healed. It's a devotion to what it feels like to rise again and again in real time.
I'm Christine.
I'm Sia.
And I'm Shashetta. Let's get into it. Oh my gosh, we have Vangie in the house.
Hey.
What's up,
Vangie? Hey, Christine. Hey, Sia. Hey, Shada.
Welcome to Rising in Real Time. Our topic today is a very important topic, and before we dive into it, though, we're gonna just talk to you a little bit, right? Give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself. It doesn't have to be a lot. We can start with your big three if you want to start there, and we can leave it at that if that works for you too. So, what are your big three?
Oh, God. Okay. I told you I get stage fright, so I can't even remember that.
What's your sun sign?
I am a Gemini sun.
Okay, and your moon?
Leo rising.
Woo-hoo.
And moon in Aries.
Okay. Oh,
that's nice. We have a fire moon in the house, y'all.
Yeah.
We, the three of us, are Earth moons, so it's very nice to have.
I'm like mostly fire in my chart, so I'm told. So yeah, I search out water big time.
That makes a lot of sense. Would y'all, Christine, would you say that Vangie gives off mostly fire?
I do. Yeah, just the way that you've gone into just certain topics, just like head first and like literally just diving in. And yeah, I see you as like a catalyst, like a spark of different things, and makes sense with your Gemini sun and just being able to communicate it all and getting all the knowledge, being curious, asking all the questions, like give me more, give me more. And then you do shine in every space that you go in. So I love to see it. I love to see. I'm glad that we have a stage for you to shine all of your brilliance here.
Y'all are so sweet. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I love it. And you're also a dancer, and that's what I think of when I think of all fire. I think of that. Because what type of dance? Please, you're going to have to share. What type of dance do you like?
The firest dance ever.
Which
salsa mambo.
Yes, hot. That's what I think of. Hot fire.
Spicy.
Very hot.
I love it. Okay, so is there anything else anyone would like to ask before we move forward into our topic of the day?
I'm excited that you're here. Join us.
I know, me too.
It's like a beautiful four.
I know. It's like
it feels really good.
It does feel really good. Okay, so without further ado, we're talking about being a spiritual woman in a committed relationship. And not necessarily all of what that means, but just kind of sharing from our own vantage point, because the wild and beautiful thing is that all four of us are in committed relationships, right? So I've been married for 27 years. It will be 28 in February, God willing, inshallah, right? So I've been married for a very long time, and I have 4 children. So that is a very I would say a committed relationship. Like, double down. What about y'all?
Facts. I'll go. So I am also married. We've been married 9 years, 2025, next 9 years, going into our 10th year. And we also have 4 children. So deep in this thing for sure.
Yeah,
What
I've
about you,
been
Vangie?
married 15 years and we have three now. Mhm.
I've been married 11 years and I have one.
Beautiful.
I love it. I caught that now, Vangie. Or is it going to be more later, you think?
Ha!
No,
Now.
okay, just
I mean, oh God.
not
I'm
planned.
not
Not
I'm not
necessarily.
tied up, so anything can happen.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything could happen at this age, but yeah, I guess I'm still fertile.
Hot
Fertile and
fire.
popping. The oven still works.
I love it. Um, so we none of us have like a little bit of skin in the game. We've all been in this thing for a while, and why I think that this is such a valuable conversation is because of the fact that um, we all know that marriages have ups and downs. And first, I want to say that we're all married to, this is heterosexual marriages. So most of our conversation will be focused on that and those types of relationships. But that doesn't mean that this isn't applicable to all partnerships, not necessarily marriages, just anybody in a long term relationship. Hopefully, we'll be able to find something that's helpful from this convo. Um, but
I'm
it has,
curious as to what you all are married to.
what do you mean?
What is
Zodiac
their
signs.
sun and their
Oh,
rising?
great question, Vangie. Who'd like to go first?
I gotta look mine up, so y'all got time.
All right, I'll go. You said sun and rising, or you want all three?
Yeah, I can find all three.
Okay, so all three for me. I'm married to an Aries sun, a Gemini moon, and a Sagittarius rising.
I'm married to
Interesting.
a, yes, fiery too. Married
Very
to a
fiery.
Cancer sun, an Aquarius moon, and a Libra rising.
Hmm, hmm.
I'm married to a Taurus sun, Gemini rising, and Pisces moon.
Mm. And I'm married to an Aries sun, a Scorpio moon, and a Libra rising.
Okay, Libra rising.
Hi, twin.
Hi, I know. It's like we're all like, like, oh, okay.
Is that how you get your balance? Okay.
Yes, right. It's
Yeah, and just
wild.
speaking to that, like the balance, like I was thinking about this the other day and just looking at the balance that our partners give us in our chart. Um, since I'm a Virgo rising, my descendant is in Pisces. And a lot of
Mm.
times you look at the descendant to see, what you're drawn to or what's attracted to you in terms of relationships and partnerships. It's in the partnership house. And so just really seeing, like, and even just talking about spirituality, a lot of the times in my own spirituality journey, my partner with his Pisces moon and the emotions that he's brought up has helped me go to the next stage of my spirituality. Totally unbeknownst to him because he's not tapped into all of these things, but
Right.
just the underground, like emotional currents that he lays the foundation for really heightens, and illuminates my descendant and like that Pisces side of my chart. So
Mm,
I was really reflecting on that yesterday since we got so much going on in Pisces and it's just been a big theme in my relationship.
that's cool. Like, I think one thing to ask, because we're all like these spiritual deep divers, is what other like relationship related spirituality things have you got caught up in? Like any karmic tie stuff or twin flame? As we've progressed through our spirituality, have you ever dived into that stuff?
I know I have for sure because it has come up before, like before I even knew the idea about twin flames. Um, my husband and I got a reading. it was like a very instrumental reading for us because we were pregnant with my first son. We weren't married yet. And we decided to go see this psychic who was also like a past life regressionist. It was like all the things. It was like, totally cool. And I want to touch on the fact, Christine, what you were talking about with the descendant, because my descendant is an Aquarius, and his moon is Aquarius. So his moon also falls in my seventh
Wow.
house. So
Wow.
we can come back to that at some point. But so we went to this reading, and the woman told us all these things, gave us different versions of our lives together, and she was like, "It's like you guys are." She didn't say we were the same person, but she was like very similar. Like, and the wild thing is, like, even in the lifetimes that she shared with us, we weren't similar, but we always had these roles where we were very in like necessary to each other kind of thing. So it was like, there was a hunter deer life where I was the deer and he was the hunter. So it's like he's looking for me and I'm trying to hide from him, right? Like, so that's like, but either way, like he is searching, right? We both are very entangled in that moment. And then there was like the king queen one where I was like the head, not the first wife. It was the first wife and he's the king. So it's like, I'm kind of running the household while he's running the kingdom kind of thing. So it was just very interesting, and like how I feel like that plays out in this life is where we are very similar, and like looking at our charts because we're the same age, we have a lot of big generational placements together, um, as well as like our north node and south node. So at times that has been, and our chirons. I forgot that huge one. So like that can be very interesting and challenging at the same time. So very
Mm,
karmic. So
yes,
needless to say, very karmic.
Yeah.
very much so. I could attest to what you said, Shashetta. I also did a past life regression. And Brandon was there for the meditation. But what I'll always say is like, I'm always learning, seeking, diving deep, where Brandon has like this knowing about himself, where he may not know the factuals, but like his purpose is known. What he came to do is known. Like he knows things. I don't need a tool because like I am the tool. He has that type of mindset. So we did the meditation and he was just like, oh, okay, cool. But for me, I'm like taking it apart, where in one lifetime he was the father and I was the daughter. Um, but I was being like kidnapped and he was there to take me back, to protect me. And then there was another life which was very interesting where I was a tree and he was vine. And again, it was like this protective, yeah, but it also had like this double-edged sword thing to it because it's like here he is with this like always latched on protectiveness, but to a point where it's like I'm always trying to like get away from it, whether it's unknowingly or knowing. So yes, very karmic life. And we share the same North Node, South Node, and because we're like a year apart, a lot of the generational placements and like the Scorpio and Pluto, like we have a lot of those things in common. So it's interesting to see the two spectrums of a person kind of headed in the same direction.
Yeah, I can relate to that too. Especially with my husband being just like this knowing thing. Like we haven't done anything like that, like had a reading or anything. He just lives it and he's like, okay, if whatever you share, I take in. But I could see the karmic threads within our chart. But I would say the modality that I've dived into that's been, I say this all the time, a lifesaver in my marriage. Like I really do truly feel like if I wasn't tapped into this modality, that I don't know where we would have been in our relationship. And that's human design, because it
Mm,
really helped me understand not only my energy, but his energy and give him grace in ways that I didn't really understand or have compassion for before. And so, really being able to have a tool to understand and honor his energy has been transformative in our relationship, releasing some of the conditioning that others put on us. It's like helped me really like d dissolve some of those things and really empowered us into, yeah, like really true, deep, intimate understanding. And so I feel like that's the one that's been most impactful for me. But how about you, Vanjie?
Dang. I haven't done any of that. I have had a past life regression, but Miguel wasn't in any of them.
Mm.
Actually, just one son was in it in one past life. Um, and I'm still learning astrology, so I haven't done a comparison chart or anything, so yet to be explored.
So remind me of his Libra rising.
Hmm.
Um, we're not trying to dissect folks right now, but I just thought it was Aries Sun, Libra rising. So that means his sun is in his seventh house, which is very interesting because my son is like that. My oldest, he's Libra rising and he's an Aries sun, so he has like a stellium in the seventh house. So relationships and partnerships are like a very big thing for them in this
I
lifetime.
can relate to that. So much in the seventh.
Yeah, so interesting. So, one of the questions that I had kind of pre-prepared was, there's so many young folks out here now who are, well, actually, I would say some are looking for committed relationships and some are cool with not having, committed relationships. I feel like even more so than when I was younger, it was kind of like, not that everybody was about to get married, but that was still kind of the goal, I think, or at least the underlying goal, because it's the one they basically indoctrinated in us since we were very young. But okay, that's fine. Um, but young folks nowadays, if you were to talk to a young person, what would you say to them about being a spiritual person in a committed partnership? What kind of advice would you offer?
So much. Um, I mean, I try to prep my boys for stuff like this, especially as they're preteens and they are going to start being exposed to love and pleasure. And the biggest thing I keep going back to is like know thyself.
Yes,
Um,
exactly that.
and that's a continuous thing because you're always evolving. Um, and then when it comes to relationships, like who is going to accept all versions of you,
Mhm.
right? Who do you feel safe and at home with, and that you can be really give your truth, any version of your truth as you evolve. Um, so I just try to encourage my boys to try to find someone who they can really confide in, and who will accept them for who they are at the moment.
It's so beautiful. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Um, the one thing that I feel like, I mean, in addition to everything that you already said, Vanjie, the one thing that I think comes to mind for me is I've always said it's really important to be friends with whoever you decide to be in a committed relationship with, only because I feel like at the end of the day, things don't always work out the way you want it to. And I don't want to like veer it towards it ending, but I feel like how you start and if you can, really work hard to maintain that friendship at the end, if there's an end, or at any big chasm or upshake, you can still go back to like, at the end of the day, this person is someone that I care about and I love. And I like, if I can stand outside of myself, what would I want for them? And not just like, okay, only thinking about them because that's not the goal, but also just being like, okay, what would I want them to say to me, and what would I want to say to them if I was just someone on the outside hearing this conversation. Just because I feel like, when I was growing up, my mom and dad like had a very volatile relationship after I was, born, and they were been separated. So I felt like that was like, okay, well, if I could at least be friends with the person that I married, then it's things can be figured out from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. I would jump in there and just pretty much agree with exactly what y'all are saying. Um, I think the bigger one for me is knowing who you really are first, and making sure it's like true to the heart and to the purpose to go in this direction versus a conditioning. Shashetta, you touched on how it was like so deeply ingrained in us to become somebody's spouse, right? To create the family, to have that lifestyle, where I personally can't say like that was a personal choice. It was me just checking a box of what I thought was the next thing to do. Like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. And as I've gotten to know myself more, it's like, oh, there was more to knowing. There was more to know before taking like this huge step. I'm here and I'm in it, so we're gonna navigate it. But when it comes to anyone searching for committed relationships, when it comes to like my children, it'll always be like, make sure you truly know yourself first and truly have an understanding of what love is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and your ability and capacity to love.
Mm,
Yeah, I
that's
echo
so
that.
hard,
Mhm.
right? Knowing what love is, that comes from how we experienced love. That's like our filter.
Hmm.
And I think my advice is to love yourself first. You
Yes.
can know yourself, you can have all of that, but if you don't truly love yourself, how can you truly love somebody else? What
True.
does RuPaul say?
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
all of that. So that like true, and it's not just like our relationships, it's not going to be consistent. We're not going to always, like we should, like that's the goal to always love ourselves, but to really understand your waves and your ups and flows and your downs and really meeting yourself where you are in this present cycle and stage in your
Hmm.
life because there are so many different cycles and roller coasters and ebbs and flows that we go to. So to know yourself, yes, to
Mm,
love yourself through it all, then through that you can, like we always say, overflow and give love to somebody else. So
yeah.
that would be my advice is to not only know yourself, but to deeply, really, truly feel love and really understand what you need to feel that love. Like, you can talk about the love languages, right? Really getting into those and really understanding, okay, what is the type of love that I need to receive and what is my preferred way to love you? Have
Yeah.
communication about that. Because I think that is so important in a relationship because how you think you're giving love is really may not be the way that somebody else wants to receive love. And so really knowing how you want to receive that love and being able to communicate that out, I think is really
Yeah. I just heard one of my favorite therapists, Instagram therapists, she put out some uh reel that said, um, take a piece of paper, split it down the middle. On one side, write all your unmet needs as a child. And on the other side, your met needs as a child. Like I had toys, I got to go to summer camp. My unmet was I was left home alone, I was parentified, whatever. Um, then cross out the titles. All your unmet needs is what you seek out in a partner,
Mm-hmm.
and all your met needs is what you bring to the relationship. So, yeah, you got to know that about yourself and loving yourself continuously. Um, Looking back, I struggled loving myself. Like I grew up Jehovah's Witness, and there was a lot of shame and guilt in that, a lot of people pleasing, a lot of external, um, everything, right? Everything was outside of myself. God was outside of myself, everything. So I ended up bringing all that huge filter into my relationship. Thank God, Miguel and I were going on the same path. Um, and we both were like brutally extremely honest with each other, so we could discuss and meet each other as things evolved in us, and figure it out, right? But man, the love thing, loving yourself, that's a constant. That's hard. And hope, now that as spiritual mamas, we get to give our children the that heads up and that opportunity to have space to have their needs met so that they can truly love themselves and know themselves.
I love this.
Yes.
Is there anything that we haven't said that you would tell your inner child now? Is there anything,
Mhm.
is it anything different?
If you can't be yourself around them, they're not for you. I kept adjusting who I was to fit into these communities, thinking that was the only way I belonged. And it's not until now in my 40s that I, one, have the support, the courage, and the awareness to be like, you know what? That really doesn't make me happy. Why am I even doing that to myself? um, and letting things go, letting friends go, um, letting identities go, so I can be more of what makes me happy. So and you have to be okay with grief. Like that's a grieving
Yeah.
process. That's a dark work.
Necessary
Um,
work. It's all part of it, right? Things have to
yeah.
die for new things to be born. So, yeah.
I don't think I had space for that as a kid. I don't think I had friends around or people around that can be like that I could say, this person really like hurts my feelings. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would love to give my inner child the friend that knew how to listen
Mm.
and knew how to be supportive and not non-judgmental.
Mm, I love that. Um, and thinking about it, I mean, I think I would say all the things that we've already said to my inner child. Um, but the other thing that keeps coming up for me is teaching others how to treat you.
Mm,
And that comes from loving yourself enough to know what you
yeah,
need. It comes from
you probably need to
knowing
see it
yourself.
modeled.
It's like this avalanche, but also it is kind of a we talked about like the people pleasing thing, and as a Libra sun and being a very sensitive child growing up and growing up in a household where men were there, but then like my dad was pre-verbal, pre my remembering, didn't live with me. My stepdad was who I knew in my house until around, I would say about 9 or 10. So after that, it was just, my mom and my sister and I rather. And so, not really knowing what it was like to have a man in the house and also not knowing what that even really means to be in a relationship. It's hard to
Hmm.
know what you're creating when you don't really
See it.
experience it every day.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was left to television and movies and books and all these things that are also not necessarily wrong, but also a little bit fantastical in some of its representation and presentation of things. And even when it wasn't perfect, it would go so extreme, like
Yeah.
like horrible that it's just like, oh, okay, definitely not that. But as we know, like, we're growing, and then so is this other individual that we're married to, and we've chosen to be in partnership to. So it's hard to remember that you being me, I'm saying you, me being um someone who's like, it's okay, it's all right, it's fine, you know kind of like brushing things off, as opposed to being like, actually no, that's not okay. And no, I don't want that. And no, yes, I do want this. And yeah, it
Yeah.
might be a lot, but guess what? That's what I want, and that's who I
Yeah.
am. And like you said, Vanjie, that like then it becomes very clear if it's not for you, then it's not for me either. So
Yeah. I just learned in the from these bleh, from these two last classes with Tao of Trauma that a lot of my trouble with um, embodying and making good changes for myself and the way I move through life was because I didn't really have the capacity.
Mm,
I was born into a traumatic situation that continued to be traumatic. And so I was constantly hyper aroused and I was just surviving. So I wasn't making the best decisions. I was just doing what kept me alive, not what made me happy, you know? Um, so we have to give ourselves grace. Like I'm just now having the luxury of having capacity to make better choices. So, and I've been married this long without making the most resonant choices, but that just goes to show you how resilient, like the human spirit is, how powerful love is between humans, that we can be so imperfect, but um, things will work out still.
for sure. And I think it too is a testament to our partners and their
Hmm.
willingness to do the work that they subconsciously signed up for, right? Um, because in all of this that I'm hearing, even from my own inner child, it would be giving myself time. There was no time. I gave myself no time coming from, like you said, being born into trauma, being born into hypervigilance, and all of these things going on around us. And then immediately jumping into love, talking about loving somebody and commitment for the rest of our lives. That's
Hmm.
huge,
Hmm.
huge, right? Where really, maybe for myself, it was more so looking for retreat,
Hmm.
um, looking for like a way out of all the things that I was experiencing because what I've been programmed to believe about love. And yeah, shout out to these men who are like, she's always making me change. Or like there's always something new like that we have to address. And it's just like, well, yeah, because that's kind of what you signed up, with us being partners. Um, but yeah, that's it for the most part.
What are some of the craziest things you've had your partner do, like spirituality wise? Like ritual, like,
it's so
Uh,
funny because at one point, so this is another question I was going to ask at some point, but like my husband and I, we were kind of on the same path at one point, and at some point, I remember we were talking about husbands who just know and they don't have to do. At some point, and even in that reading I mentioned earlier, she was like, "You're never gonna need to go to another, reader again because you're not like this isn't really your thing. Like you just don't really buy into it, right?" And so he like I don't know what you I forgot the term, but like he deals with it like and he watches, but he's like I don't really need to do that. I don't need to, you know, pull cards. Like I can and yeah, like I appreciate what the tool is, but I don't need to do it. And he's like it's okay that you do or you want to, but I don't. Like I am the thing. Like Sia said before about her mate. Like yeah, he's like I am the thing. I don't need anything outside of me. Um so he really is not interested in what I'm doing.
no, I get that because my husband, my husband's interested because he's just like, he's a know-it-all. Like, what are you talking about over there? Like, what's going on? Like from that aspect, but not from the aspect of like, oh, I need to heal or something in my life needs to change. Like, he doesn't look at it like that. So I'll say like Brandon has jumped into like everything I've ever done. Um, when I early on wanted to go to a spiritual retreat and I thought I was going by myself, he was like, "Where's my ticket? Because I'm coming too. Like, I'll be damned if you naked in the woods with spiritual people." So yeah, he's very much like that. So we've always, it's just like he's just there. He's there for that. He'll come in for meditations here and there. Hearing about some of like our more recent experiences that we had over at the farm, he's like, "Oh, okay, like I would be interested in that. Like, well, who's the guy version? Who can show me how to do that?" So there's just like this interest there, but it's hard when we value something so much and then like my partner, he doesn't value it the same way. So I kind of look at it as like, oh, you're just playing around. But I had to learn like not to do that because he just receives information so differently than I do.
Hmm.
Christine, you got something for us? With some
I
wild
kind of
things
forgot
y'all
the
been through?
question. Um, but it like if they've done anything or tapped in spiritually at all. I guess the one thing, not for my husband, he's just like if I share, I share, but I don't, he's not really curious about it. Like it just comes up in regular conversation. But the one thing that we did do together, and I don't know if this is spiritual or this is just real life, like the earth medicine, it was really beautiful for us being intentional about microdosing together and having the same dose days and really being intentional about what we wanted from the medicine. And so I felt like that was a spiritual way for him to tap in. Again, not knowing that it was spiritual. He's like, oh, okay, let's just trip on shrooms. But he was intentional with,
Mhm.
when we would take it in the morning and things like that. So he was open.
It's so funny because like I say he's not interested, but he's because he has that Aquarius moon, he's like 10 years ahead of me sometimes. So like when I'm finding things and I'm like, "Hey, look at this." Cuz I'm like I want to share. I'm like I got to share with someone. I'm like I found this thing
Yes.
and I'm like, "Oh my god." He's like, "Oh yeah, I know about that." And I'm like, "But you want to
Tell
share
me.
with somebody?" You don't want to be like, "Hey, I found this cool thing." He's like, I didn't think you'd be interested in that. And that's like almost everything. Like, he tried ayahuasca years ago, and never I wasn't like, hey, I found this cool thing.
Right.
Would you be
Huh.
interested? He's like, no, because he also, I feel like he's kind of like a mad scientist. So he's kind of like, I'm gonna try it out. And
Oh,
then,
I feel. I feel
yeah,
like your husband in this situation.
yeah. He's like, and then once I report back, then we could
I
decide.
report back. How
Yeah,
about
my
you, Maggie?
husband has yeah, I guess the place we have where we've done things together has been nature related or plant medicine. Um, he is really suspicious of anything organized. Um, so he doesn't want to be like told someone else's rules. So when it comes to like nature and things that come straight from the earth, he's cool with. Um, but yeah, like organized religion, or he has come to some circles with me, um, and just to peep him out and see who I was gonna be around. But after that, he was like, "Nah, I
This
don't
is
like doing it
so
with people."
interesting. I wonder if it has to do with the Aries in the seventh house. Because they're like, I'm not letting anybody tell me what to do. It's so
Mhm.
interesting just because, I mean, that's not, seventh house isn't technically like the spirituality house, but it is who you decide you become in partnership with or who go into any kind of agreement with. So, any kind of spirituality or religion or whatever, it is an agreement
Mm.
to follow
Right.
someone or be in alignment with someone. So, or some ones. So, it's so interesting. Very, very
Something.
interesting. Hmm. It's a dive
More
that I
to
would
dive
love.
into.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna have to dive into that a little bit more offline,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
you
Yep.
got to notice the patterns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, while you're talking about it, okay, so my husband's an Aries sun. I can't remember what house, maybe fourth. I can't remember. But just knowing that he's an Aries and like he identifies big with that, it's like because I'm first, like this first energy, this initiating energy, right? Where it's just like when you think of it like the first child versus the second child, the first child knows already. Like they don't need you to tell them. They already know. They've already been taught. That's already been experienced by them. So maybe just in that dynamic of relationships, like they're not here to be told by the partner or taught by the partner. It's like there's a knowing that's already
Hmm.
there and on fire.
Yeah. Well, that's the challenge. That's not how that works.
The challenges
Yeah, and to keep it
for
on
sure.
theme with the Aries, my husband is has his Mercury in Aries.
Mm.
So it's like, what information are you going to give me? Okay.
See, yeah,
Okay. Like, this is how I feel about it. You take it or leave it. Okay.
Exactly. Facts or no facts doesn't matter.
No facts. Okay.
Oh, that is so
It
funny.
can be hurtful,
Yeah.
to my, all my Pisces placements and my Mercury and then Gemini. It's like, I'm so curious you're interested in this. Okay. Actually, no, very, very fiery about it, but you do you. You go ahead and do you.
You're like,
yep.
That's
okay.
fine. I'll go and talk to my spiritual girls, okay?
Yeah,
You're good. You're
What
exactly.
good.
have
I,
y'all?
I have friends. But that's so interesting because I find that regardless of the community, the religion, the, the groupings, the women tend to lean on each other. And the
Hmm.
men either are nowhere to be found or not necessarily the men that you would want want your man hanging around. um so how do we navigate that? Like I feel like cuz I do think they need it cuz not for nothing. Like my husband, he may not want to necessarily learn anything from anyone else. Not that he's not open to learning, he's just not there to learn. Like it would have to catch him off guard kind of thing. Like but the camaraderie, the community, the interaction, where men can be in committed partnerships and have other men to talk to. I'm like, where do they go for that? Like, where is that?
Mm.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't look like what we
Exactly. I was
see,
gonna say that. Yeah.
Go ahead, Christine.
Yeah, just I was gonna say because his commodity comes from, unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know, but from Madden or, a fantasy football, these types of groups, and they form. It doesn't look like our spiritual, like we're not talking. They're not talking about these higher concepts, but they're talking and they're having community in their own special, unique way, and in some ways uplifting each other. Like I see that through listening or overhearing different conversations while he's in these different spaces and groups. And so it's definitely not the topics that we're talking about, but I do see how it's helping him grow and he's helping cultivate community with, his brotherhood in that way.
That's cool.
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like when you find a play date for your kid and then you're like, honey, come over. I want you to meet, the father. And they're just like, hey. We
Not
try to
interested.
bring everyone together and the men are like, nah, I got mine. You don't need to set up a play date for me. And I know he has a great group of friends, and they can talk all topics from plant medicine to spirituality and God and relationship advice and everything. So um, I know he gets support there, but on the surface, it just looks like a bunch of playing around and joking.
Mm, interesting. I love that for both of your mates. I definitely will say that that's not the same for mine. I
Mm,
feel like he offers a lot of advice to others, but I don't feel like he feels that he has a lot of folks that he can depend on for that kind
mm,
of support when he needs it. I found like I feel like there's like the world of, those you work with, and then they don't have the higher understanding of life that you may have. And then there's like those that have that higher understanding, but then they may not be doing the things that you want to be involved with. So it's like you're kind of like he's definitely in a transition place, so it's like more so him right now.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. I can so like I hear a little bit in everybody's conversation. When it comes to like spiritual nourishment, I know that my husband has not found that group. And yeah, he doesn't want it to look like it wouldn't be, logging onto the internet and we're talking about the Mars portal. Like he probably would never do something that deep. Or maybe he would, who knows? But more so of just like that inner child yearning of wanting to be seen for the man that he is, all of the conversations no one ever had around marriage, stuff like that. It's not so easy for him to find right now because, you deal with the guys who, yeah, I got a marriage, but I do all of what I do on the side. Or, maybe the religion just looks starkly different from spirituality because also we're like in the Bible Belt down here, right? So that just don't really hit because it's like, okay, we're kind of coming at it two different angles. What I can say is that we've been able to just like have conversations through this. So remember, like my husband always wants to be a part of something because what he sees. And y'all see me, we're in community here. Y'all know I have homeschooling community out there. And then I'm also really big about getting moms out to do mom things. And he wants to be a part of that. He's like, well, why can't he be the mom and the fathers? But like just like one of us just said, well, we'll try to do these play dates, and then the guys are just like, mm-mm, like I'm good. I got my own, like I already got my own type of thing. So ironically, this past weekend we did some plant medicine together, and we talked about just being able to kind of like find more like-minded couples where there is a big thread around the decentering of men and patriarchy. Because in order
mm.
for our thing to be supported by anybody else, we'd have to have that same mindset.
Correct.
Um, and yeah, and I feel like that is one of the bigger, you could be
Yeah.
whatever religion, you can do whatever you want, but if you come to this understanding like the divine feminine needs to be held and put back into her space, then I think you can find more like the like-minded in the conversations that he's eager to have with people.
Yeah, I think that is what isolates like Miguel's friends from other people I'll try to introduce him to. And that question was brewing, like, is our unique spirituality isolating our guys from other people?
Yes.
Because people can't relate to the special way we connect. And it must be that feminine quality.
Yeah. I think it's even if you're working through it like as a woman, right? It's a lot for us to
Hmm, hmm.
recondition and rethink like, oh, hold up, that's why I feel like this or that doesn't work. But then for a man, because his biggest question to me is, well, where's the space for the divine masculine? Like I'm confused. Like it's all women, 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 but like what about the men? And it's just like, well, no, 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 no. Like y'all, it's been male dominated. Like y'all have had your hand over the whole thing this whole time. You just have to appreciate, where the divine feminine is in that. And when he can realize like he too is in a reflection of the divine feminine, like that is reflected in him as well. You just have to push it to the forefront and just not be so male dominated. So yeah, it's a work in progress. And I feel like the more like we have these type of conversations, it'll help other people to kind of look at it like, well, maybe that is a conversation for our own household. Um, Yeah, the balancing of the two.
Absolutely. I mean, because I know there are programs out there, um, when I was younger, my husband went through a program called Sacred King Man, which was connected to the Kemetic house that we were involved with. So that to him was like, that's all I needed. Like that was it. Like that was the one and only thing that I needed to get in touch with who I am and what I bring to this lifetime. But at the same time, we all talk about having children, right? We have children. I have four boys. And while having my husband and their uncles and other male family members to grandfathers to look up to, I still feel like as far as the spirituality goes, that's still a hole. Not that it's not a hole for the women too, the young women. I feel like there are things out there. I just don't know. I don't know. I still feel like there's more to be done, more to be desired, as far as, because I agree, Sia, like what you're talking about with the divine feminine being raised up to this new level of appreciation and understanding, that not that it wasn't understood before, but there's like a new way because there's new information coming out. There's more things available to us to know than there was at a certain time, or even like 20 years ago when I went through programs that I went through. So like those programs have to work that in as well. It's like, and I don't know if they are. I'm not sure. So it's like, short of all of us doing all the things, like, hey, anybody out there, this like you're interested in doing some rites of passage for children, where they can really explore this from a safe place, that would be awesome, because the all of the children need it, as well as the men and the women. But I definitely don't have the solution. I just know I can identify where the hole is. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all of us. Like we can definitely identify that piece of it. But no, no solution. Solution on
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times that's the masculine in us, right? Like us honoring the divine masculine in ourselves. It's like we're going to find the solutions. We're going to take the actions to do what needs to be done for our family. And I could see, in a way, the divine feminine in the male, in the men. You just like, what are you bringing to us? What can we receive? So seeing that role reversal there just really sparked in my mind. It's like, yeah, there's kind of like a role reversal. It's like us being the masculine and them being in the feminine, and when it comes to spirituality.
that.
That has come up um, to me in constellation work for myself, where um, when when the feminine is on the left side and the masculine is on the right side, that's organized energy. And in all of our family pictures, I've always been on um, the right side in the masculine position.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know. And then look at my chart. It's majority masculine and my husband's majority feminine.
Mm.
And when I saw that, I was
Yes.
like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how? Like, I have no fire in my chart. Like, how? But to see, I could see it. I
How
could
would you see that in the chart? What's
Great
masculine, what's feminine?
question.
the
Yeah.
different planets degrees where they fall in the zodiac chart can show you like different energies, and planets are lean more masculine, others lean more feminine. Where they fall, the aspects that they make to each other are all
Wow.
things. You can go into different systems.
Mhm.
I feel like astro.com will show you the masculine versus the feminine. I feel like AstroSeek as well can show you the percentage of masculine that you have versus to the feminine.
I'll have to check that out. Thank you.
Yeah. That's so interesting that you say that, Christine, because I've always felt that. Like, I don't know. I haven't necessarily looked at it through chart wise, modality wise, but I've always felt that like I have more of a not necessarily masculine presenting. Like I don't even know,
Right.
like, but you know, just like I am definitely more willing to go out there and go do it and try it and you know do all these things, and that's also part of my human design energy. It's like to go and try and you know yeah exactly experiment and see and my husband is more he's more laid back, he's more like let me watch and see, which is more of a feminine way of being, like let me observe. He has a stellium in Cancer, so you know that he naturally just operates
Mhm.
that way.
Mhm.
So you know that has been the balance, and I feel like the times where we have friction is where he feels like I'm trying to overshadow his masculine side.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so it's like a reminder to be like, whoa, like too far. And so, you know, part of my journey this stage of life has been really give thanks, you know, recognizing the divine feminine in myself. Not that I wasn't aware of her presence, but understanding how that operates,
Yes.
the
Yep.
embodiment of it. What does it look like? What does it, you know, what does that energy really feel like to operate from that feminine standpoint of, oh, let me sit back and wait and not jump in and find the solution. Let me wait and see what others bring to me. Like Empress energy, you know? And that is like not how I function at all. I have to tell
Hear you,
myself all the
child. I
time.
hear you, child. But you see what happens when you step into that energy. When you
Yeah.
honor that energy within them, it's like it's naturally comes. It's like, whoa, where has this been all this time?
Yeah.
Oh, I needed to honor my own
Yes,
The kitty is like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, she knows. So yeah, I feel that in my shanda. Yeah,
Yes,
I
child.
hear you.
Mm. So this is a conversation that we could go in so many different angles, and I would actually really like to continue at some
Mhm.
point. And Vangie, please, you can bring questions of your own. You brought some fire questions. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
I
Well,
love the
you
question.
ladies are very interesting. It was easy.
Well, you as well. So
Happy
the
to know
next
it was
time when
easy
we have
too.
a part 2 or 3 or 4 or more, I'm looking forward to seeing what we come up with and what else
Yes.
comes out.
Sounds
Very
good.
good. Loved it. Loved it.
Take a breath, beloved. You've just witnessed another layer of rising in real time.
We pray this conversation met you right where you are and reminded you that healing is not a destination, it's a rhythm, a remembering, a return.
If something here stirred your spirit, share this episode, leave a reflection, or tell a sister who's also on her way home to herself.
We'll meet you again in the next episode. Until then, stay rooted and stay radiant.